Hello, everybody. It's Balinese bad boy Dave Neal recording live from Indonesia with another update in the Bachelor Nation world. Bachelor Nation news is full of content today, and we've got a new website called fanbase.com, which allows influencers to create a marketplace where their fans can buy things from them. In the cases here, the fans can pay $50 to $100, whatever the price is set for the influencers to let follow the fans back or slide into their DMs or like their TikTok videos. And some are asking, is this scammy or fair market? We got a comment, it's literally scamming your fans. Aaron Clancy wants $100 just so he can press the follow button on your Instagram. That's all he has to do for $100. Highway robbery. And I'm going to tell you what I feel about this. And if you know me, you might say, hey, Dave says do what you got to do to make your money. And I agree. Do what you have to do to make your money. But, it could turn your fan base off. That's always the case, especially if you're advertising for a problematic company or something. If you're a fan base and your audience is part of your income, there's a relationship and an expectation that's there. With that said, I always say, look, do what you want with your money. I've got a private membership community. It's called patreon.com, and I allow people to watch more exclusive content. Here's a video I made this morning, 22 minutes long, with my wife, and I did a room tour of our hotel we're staying at on the beach in Bali. Yeah. Hi. So, did you have fun at the show?
Yeah.
Or was it torture? So these, some wearing the same shirt because I'm 16 hours ahead of time. So I'm recording this, Thursday night, 7 p.m., but you're going to be getting it Thursday morning at 8 a.m. or whatever. So I am fully in support of having bonus content. Like, if you don't want to join my Patreon, that's fine. I'll still have free content. If you don't want Aaron Clancy to follow you, that's fine. He just won't follow you. You know what I mean? But, of course, it could turn people the wrong way. Here's what Reality Steve has to say.
Because if you're that fucking stupid to pay somebody to follow you, you're just as guilty as he is.
Reality Steve, tell us how you really feel.
For ripping off his fans. I think anyone who asks for this and is willing to pay them for something as stupid as liking one of your pictures for $70, that's on you.
Yeah, so look, I agree with Steve Carbone here. If someone wants to pay $100, don't get mad. Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know what I mean?
What I'm having a problem with is them taking advantage of their fans. I don't think it's right. Because I look at, and I'll go to Nate's real quick.
Here's Nate.
Obviously, I was texting with Kelsey last night to be like, can you believe this shit?
Kelsey's Nate's ex.
Nate, a one-on-one video chat with Nate, $100. An Instagram or TikTok follow back. He only wants $20 from you. Why is Aaron Clancy charging $100 to get a follow back on Instagram or TikTok, but Nate only wants $20?
By the way, and look, here's the deal. It's fair to ask these questions, but it's also fair. Like, I've got a tier on my Patreon that's like $50 a month. You get the same thing as the $5 a month, but it's like, look, if some people just have F around money, and they've got, like, if I had enough money, I would do all of these. I would make them I would pay them to follow me back, whatever. I mean, it's kind of just like F around money. Now, we know Cameo.com is a website where influencers can charge money to give a shout out. Money is time. Right, we have to understand that money is time. So there are people that are on this app, like Johnny DiFilippo. He gives a one-on-one cooking lesson for $250. Well, in order for someone to get off the couch, maybe that's the price he has to do. I charged $5,000 for a corporate stand-up show in Las Vegas. Why did I charge that much? Because I knew I was going to bomb. I knew it was going to be tough. I knew I was going to have to write new material. I knew I was going to have to go to Vegas. It was going to change my day. All these things. So I go, you know what? And if I had to do it again, I would only do it for $10,000. You know what I mean? So the price can be set at what it is worth for you to do. Now, if you're charging $10,000 to, work at a soup kitchen or something, that could be problematic. But if it's like, look, I'm not getting off my couch for anything less than X, Y, or Z, that's totally fair. Now, Is it a bad look? That's a different conversation, because it kind of could be a bad look to be like, really, why, you're basically monetizing other people getting clout from you following them back. But again, that's the world we live in. It's almost like I said, don't hate the player, don't hate the game. The idea behind that is like, don't hate those rabid fans for wanting a little love. Charge them for that.
Business promo video, Aaron Clancy wants $700, Nate wants $175. A personalized video message from him, Aaron Clancy wants $50, Nate wants $40. To like a comment on a post from Nate, Aaron Clancy wants $70. Nate will only charge you $15.
And the truth is that money, like your influencer and your audience following, is worth something. So if say 100 people all signed up for Aaron Clancy to get a shout out, and then he made a whole bunch of shout outs, other people are going to unfollow him. It's like my whole podcast can't be advertisements. I can only speckle them in as I see fit, and that's what the influencers learn. It's a sort of a balancing game of how much you can promote, how much you can share, and very interesting stuff. Let's see if there's anything left from Reality Steve here commenting on it. But it's so my favorite Reality Steve is when he gets riled up about this, because it's ridiculous.
As I absolutely agree with that. You've heard me talk about that 100 times. This is what this show has become now, a way to build your brand. Totally get that. Make your money while you can. However, I think this is going about it the wrong way. I think this is absolutely taking advantage of your fans.
And look, I've had people, and Reality Steve said this too. He said he's had maybe a couple dozen people that have asked him to give them shout outs. I've had so many people, boyfriends of girlfriends, DMing me and saying, hey, my girlfriend loves your channel. Could you send a shout out for their birthday? I personally have never charged, because for me, keeping a good relation with my audience, I hate to call them fan base here, but my audience, because that sounds like, I want to be able to give as much as I can, and knowing that I'm building a potential, I'll call it a fan for life. Like with a lot of stand-up comedians, they'll shake all the hands after the shows, never touch a comedian's hand for many reasons. The microphone's very dirty, but I'll shake everyone's hands after a show. I'll get upset if someone DMs me and be like, oh, I didn't want to come up to you and say hi. No, come up and say hi. My audience, I expect every year they're going to come out to a show and buy a ticket, and I can't do what I do without that. I don't know if influencers, especially Bachelor influencers, understand how cherished their audience is, because they receive that audience so quickly. Someone like Reality Steve, Game of Roses, She's All Batch, these podcasts that are not blue check verified because they were on the show, they built their following brick by brick, fan by fan, audience member by audience member. So if someone messages Reality Steve and says, hey, yeah, I'm a huge fan of yours, could you give me a shout out? I'm sure he would do it for free, because he's a blue collar guy. And again, you might think I'm pimping for Steve, but he's a blue collar guy who built that following on his own, and there's credibility to that. And again, I'm not saying that there isn't credibility with the other folks here, Johnny DiFilippo, Victoria Larson. Time is worth something. If you do want a personalized video message, it's going to cost you, and that's the free market. But it's also going to be something that, because you're monetizing it, people may judge you. Now, I get judged all the time, and the next thing I want to bring up to you, this is what I'm about to bring up to you. This is what I live for. This is my Super Bowl right here. Sarah A., YouTuber, says, when going to Dubai is problematic, but going to Indonesia isn't, even though they share the same perspective on gay rights. Now, what this person is referring to is the fact that I made several videos criticizing the Bachelor alumni who attended a problematic party in Dubai, a party in which Beyonce was paid $35 million or $45, whatever the number was. And all these alumni, Tayshia, Jason Tartick, they all went to Dubai and were paid to fly to whatever the Hilton was or whatever, the Atlantis of Dubai. They were paid to go there to essentially be a part of a brochure. Now, they were there to be an audience members for Beyonce, but what has been known in some of these countries is that the tourism board will like co-sponsor these sorts of events, or at least do it, in a way where it's not revealed that, but they're basically paying for Western influence. It's the same thing that's been happening with the new live golf tournament, where literally they offered Tiger Woods $1 billion to join their tournament because they're trying to access the sports and sports marketing world and the influencer world of the Western world. They're trying to be normalized with the rest of the world, but they've got a lot of issues. There's in some countries there's the issue where homosexuality is illegal, and there's all these other issues. So it's important to talk about. But my response to this person, who was clearly commenting not in good faith, was, I didn't come to Indonesia I wasn't paid to come here by the tourism board. Don't you see the point? I'm not a pawn. So it's a false equivalency. And I do appreciate when people call each other out, but it's a false equivalency. So the false equivalence is, and I'm just going to educate you in the case where you hear someone else make a apples to oranges comparison, you can tell them, hey, you're not operating in good faith. An argument or claim in which two completely opposing arguments appear to be logically equivalent when in fact they are not. The confusion is often due to one shared characteristic between two or more items of comparison in the argument that is way off in the order of magnitude, oversimplified, or just that important additional factors have been ignored. So what this person is ignoring is the fact that all of these people were sent to Dubai to party at a Beyonce concert, to tag the hotel, to say, oh, Dubai is so much fun. There's a bias that exists there that they won't be criticizing all the problematic behavior because they're on the payroll. That is their boss. Who's your daddy? The captain of the ship is Dubai, and they're paying for it. Now, or they're being paid for it. Now, I can tell you right now, it's a weird week for me that people are asking me about my, will I be writing my honeymoon off as a business expense? I mean, there's just some wild things going on here. Very wild, but I talk about it because it riles you up. You guys get so bent out of shape when you hear these comments because they're so ridiculous. So yes, I'm on my honeymoon. Yes, I'm making some content while I'm here. And yes, I did a stand-up show last night, and I'll have that stand-up show posted on my Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. But this is a false equivalency done in bad faith, and I'm exposing it right now here on the show. So if you guys want more content, I'm here to give it to you. So yes, the legal situation for gay people of the LGBT community in Indonesia is complicated. It's complicated in a lot of Muslim countries because just like people will take information that was in the Quran out of context, they do the same thing with the Bible. Oh, a man should not lay with a man. What, we'll just as we people, a lot of times people say, well, the Bible says this. The Bible's been interpreted, misinterpreted, recopied, language changed, made to fit King James, made to fit Queen Latifah. It's been all over the place, folks. So no, I don't believe everything I read in a Bible. I look for further information. And the same should be true for the Quran or wherever else we get our biblical scripture from. Now, I'm staying in Bali, and Bali is a Hindu, I guess you could call it a province. It's an island. But, and again, I'm not an expert in Balinese culture, but the Hindus have a different viewpoint than a lot of Muslims do with regards to their take on the LGBT community. So much so that Bali is actually a very gay-friendly area. Now, none of this matters because I'm not being paid by the tourism department to be here. But there's no central Hindu authority attitudes to LGBTQ issues. They vary at different temples. And look, like I said before, you're going to have issues at different churches in the United States. You're going to have gay-friendly churches, all these different issues. But it's where you put your money and who's buying you and where you're, and all that jazz. So just a real bad faith argument. But I wanted to bring it up in this video because it has to do with influencers and the sort of way we look at what we're being paid to promote or what we're being paid to be a part of, and those that can criticize the different influencers that are part of fanbases.com, you have every right to do that. Just, you can decide whether you want to support them or not. If somebody is so appalled by my vacationing on my honeymoon in Indonesia, you have every right to take that finger off the subscribe button. And if it really riles you up, you could also buy me a beer by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal, because sometimes it sells to be offended. And I'm offended by their offense. And let me know what you guys think. More content coming your way on Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. Link in the comment section. We'll see you over there every afternoon.